Hi, I'm Rebecca Romney of the road book firm Type Punch Matrix. Today I'm going to be reading from Chapter 14, Oxen of the Sun. Here we go. Deshiel Hollis Amos, Deshiel Hollis Amos, Deshiel Hollis Amos. Send us bright one, light one, horhorn quickening and womb fruit. Send us bright one, light one, horhorn quickening and womb fruit. Send us bright one, light one, horhorn quickening and womb fruit. Hoopsa boy boy hoopsa, hoopsa boy boy hoopsa, hoopsa boy boy hoopsa. Universally, that person's acumen is esteemed very little perceptive concerning whatsoever matters are being held as most profitably by mortals with sapience endowed to be studied, who is ignorant of that which the most in doctrine erudite, and certainly by reason of that in them high mind's ornament deserving of veneration, constantly maintain, when by general consent they affirm that other circumstances being equal, by no exterior splendor is the prosperity of a nation more efficaciously asserted than by the measure of how far forward may have progressed the tribute of its solicitude for that proliferant continuance which of evils the original, if it be absent, when fortunately present, constitutes the certain sign of omnipotent nature's incorrupted benefaction. For who is there who anything of some significance is apprehended, but is conscious that that exterior splendor may be the surface of a downward tending, lutilant reality, or, on the contrary, anyone so is there unilluminated as not to perceive that as no nature's boon can contend against the bounty of increase, so it behooves every most just citizen to become the exhortator and admonisher of his semblables, and tremble lest what had been in the past by the nation excellently commenced might in the future, not with similar excellence accomplished, if an unvaricant habit shall have gradually traduced the honorable by ancestors transmitted customs, to that thither of profundity that one was audacious excessively who would have had the hardihood to rise, affirming that no more odious offense can for anyone be than to obliviously neglect, consign that evangel simultaneously command and promise, which on all mortals with prophecy of abundance, or with diminution's menace, that exalted of reiteratedly procreating function ever irrevocably enjoined. It is not why, therefore, we should wonder if, as the best historians relate, among the Celts, who nothing that was not in its nature admirable admired, the art of medicine shall have not been highly honored. Not to speak of hostels, leper yards, sweating chambers, plague graves, their greatest doctors, the O'Shiels, the O'Hickeys, the O'Lees, have sedulously set down diverse methods by which the sick and the relapse found again health, whether the malady had been the trembling withering or loose boyconal flux. Certainly, in every public work, which in it anything of gravity contains, preparation should be, with importance commensurate, and therefore a plan was by them adopted, whether by having preconsidered, or as the maturation of experience, it's difficult in being said which the discrepant opinions of subsequent inquirers are not up to the present congrued to render manifest, whereby maternity was so far from all accident possibility removed, that whatever care the patient in that all hardest of women hour chiefly required, and not solely for the copiously opulent, but also for her who had not being sufficiently moneyed scarcely, and often not even scarcely, could subsist valiantly, and for an inconsiderable emolument was provided. To her, nothing already then and thenceforward was anyway able to be molestful, for this chiefly felt all citizens, except with proliferant mothers, prosperity at all not can be. And as they had received eternity, gods, mortals, generations to befit them her beholding, when the case was so holving itself, prurient in vehicle theirward carrying desire immense among all one another, was impelling on of her to be received into that domicile. O thing of prudent nation, not merely in being seen, but also even in being related worthy of being praised, that they her by anticipation went seeing mother, that she by them suddenly to be about to be cherished, had been begun she felt. Before born bliss babe had, within womb one he worship. Whatever in that one case done commodiously, done was. A couch by midwives attended with wholesome food reposeful, cleanest swaddles as though forthbringing were now done, and by wise foresight set. But to this no less of what drugs there is need, and surgical implements which are pertaining to her case, not omitting aspect of all very distracting spectacles in various latitudes, by our terrestrial orb offered together with images, divine and human, the cogitation of which by sedunct females is to tumescence conducive, or eases issue in the high, sun-bright, well-built fair home of mothers, when, ostensibly far gone and reproductive, it is come by her thereto to lie in her term up. Some man that wayfaring was stood by house door at night's oncoming. Of Israel's folk was that man that on earth wandering far had fared. Stark ruth of man his errand that him lone led till that house. Of that house Ahorn is lord. 70 beds keeps he there, teeming mothers are wont that they lie for to thole, bring forth bairns, hail so God's angel to Mary quaff. Watchers tway their walk, white sisters in ward sleepless. Smarts they still, sickness soothing, in 12 moons thrice 100. Truest bedthanes they twain are, for thorn holding wariest ward. In ward wary the watcher, hearing come that man mild-hearted, eft rising with swire, he wimpled to him her gate wide undid. Lo, Leven leaping, lightens an eye-blink Ireland's westward welkin. Full she dread that God the wreaker all mankind would fordo with water for his evil sins. Christ rude made she on breastbone, and him drew that he would wraith and fare under her thatch. That man her will, wotting worthful, went in Horn's house. Loth to irk in Horn's hall had holding, the seeker stood. On her stow he ere was living with dear wife and lovesome daughter, that then over land and seafloor 9 years had long outwandered. Once her in town hithe meeting, he to her bow had not doffed. Her to forgive now he craved with good ground, of her allowed that of him swift-seen face, hers, so young then, had looked. Light swift her eyes kindled, bloom of blushes, his word winning. As her eyes then on God his weeds swart, therefore, sorrow she feeled. Glad after she was that ere a dread was. Her he asked if O'Hare doctor tidings sent from far coast, and she, with gameful sigh, answered him that O'Hare doctor in heaven was. Sad was the man, that word to hear, that him so heavied in bowels ruthful. All she there told him ruing, death for friends so young, algate sore and willing God's right wiseness would say. She said that he had a fair sweet death through God his goodness with mass priests to be shriven, holy housel and sick men's oil to his limbs. The man then, right earnest, asked the nun of which death the dead man was died, and the nun answered him, and said that he was died in Mona Island through belly crab 3 year agone come Childermas, and she prayed to God the all-ruthful to have his dear soul in his undeathliness. He heard her sad words, in held hat sad staring. So stood they there both a while, in wan hope, sorrowing one with other. Happy Bloomsday from the Rosenbach.